light. There have been times as a human being I have wondered what the purpose is of having such a tender and sensitive heart. I am reminded on almost a daily basis what courage it takes to feel. As a human being, we have a choice to continue to feel or to stop. There are times that I find in my courage that I need to tell myself to breathe because my breath catches. You know that feeling where there's so much feeling, you just stop breathing. It's like you need to tell yourself to reboot. Those are the times that I find courage is a learning process, and that there are two emotions that seem diametrically opposed theoretically, that require the greatest courage, and one is grief, and the other is joy. And kids our age who have had our hearts busted know what an act of courage it is on a daily basis to keep returning to that place of joy that bubbles up, to allow ourselves to steep in it, to linger there. And I'm thinking about faith. And I've thought a lot about trust. Trust is one of the most powerful forces in the universe, along with belief. One of the things about trust is I believe that it is earned and often takes a long time, and it can vanish in an instant and then again take time to rebuild. And I wonder, what is the difference between trust and faith? For me, faith is an inherent belief that there are forces to lean into, even in the darkest of times, against all reason, and maybe despite all the evidence to the contrary. There is courage in faith. I walk a courage path. You walk a courage path. There are those times that the fog feels so thick, it's right in front of our faces and our hearts feel heavy, and it's faith that keeps us moving forward. So I want to honor and bow to courage. Calvin Coolidge once said, everybody gets butterflies, but the trick is to get them to fly in formation. I turned to David White, my husband Doug and I's favorite poet, to see what he had to say about courage. Courage is the measure of our heartfelt participation with life, with another, a community, a future. To be courageous is not necessarily to go anywhere or do anything except to make conscious those things we already feel deeply, and then to those unending vulnerabilities and to those consequences. To be courageous is to seat our feelings deep in the body and in the world, to live up to and into the necessities of relationship that often already exist, the necessities of relationship that already often exist. With things we find we already care deeply about, with a person, a future, a possibility in society, or with an unknown that begs us on and that has always begged us on. Courage is the measure of our heartfelt participation with life, with another, a community, a future. To be courageous is not necessarily to go anywhere or to do anything except to make conscious those things we already feel deeply, and then to those unending To be courageous is to seat our feelings deep in the body and in the world. To live up to and into the necessities of relationship that often already exist with things we find we already deeply care about, with a person, a future, a possibility in society, or with an unknown that begs us on and that has always begged us on. I wonder what courage journey calls you forward at this moment in your life. And I'm going to offer you probably very little answers, if any, but a number of questions. And there is one. What courage journey calls you forward at this moment in time in your life, and can you find the thread of faith in it? And I want to invite you to breathe that in deeply as you ponder and wonder. One of the things that leads us forward is purpose, passion, callings, things that pull at us, things that wake us up in the middle of the night, things that get our feet to land on the floor with joy in the morning. What work in the world is worth giving our life energy to? And I'm not talking about going to work or a job. I'm talking about callings. I'm talking about that decision and that choice of how you spend the precious moments that are not already choreographed. And do you give yourself permission to walk the courage path of creating open space in your own life for what you may not even know yet will happen? There is a Japanese word, a philosophy, it's called ikigai. And it's the overlapping of 4 different circles. The first one is about what you do best. And the second one is about what you love best, because what you do best you may not love. And the third is what you are compensated for, and there is emotional labor and there is emotional compensation. So it may just be something that makes your heart sing. And the last is to be of service to the world. How do we know what to do when we really have the choice of our own time? Where do we start? There is a mystery and a wonder. Many, many times there's life stage mandates throughout our lives where we seem to reinvent ourselves, where we seem to start over. And in those times, we wonder, what's next? What's going to happen now? Or there are endings where we know that everything has changed and we don't take the next step forward in the same place. And in those places, we wonder, where do we start, especially when it's scary and we walk a courage path? David White, start close in. Start close in. Don't take the second step or the third. Start with the first thing close in, the step you don't want to take. Start with the ground you know, the pale ground beneath your feet, your own way of starting the conversation. Start with your own questions. Give up on other people's questions. Don't let them smother something simple. To find another's voice, follow your own voice. Wait until that voice becomes a private ear listening to another. Start right now. Take a small step you can call your own. Don't follow someone else's heroics. Be humble and focused. Start close in. Don't mistake that other for your own. Start close in. Don't take the second step or the third. Start with the first thing, close in, the step you don't want to take.
Let's breathe that in.
There were years when I studied with two amazing teachers of Cherokee descent, Rainbow Hawk and Wind Eagle, and they would take us into the woods in ceremony, and they would sing us in. We would walk single file, and they would sing a song, and we would walk for a long, long ways until we would come to a clearing in the woods, which was the place where the ceremonies would happen, and there would already be a fire going, and they would beat the drum. And there was one time that they brought us in the woods, and they brought us on a journey by reciting aloud questions from each of the 8 directions. Each direction held 2 key words for guidance, and each direction also held 1 question. I would invite you now to receive from this lineage these questions, and I will read the direction they come from, the 2 key words, and then the question twice, just to breathe it in. Allow the guidance, allow the loved ones to come and whisper to us, perhaps pieces of answers we may not have known were there. From the east, the direction of freedom and creativity. What cries out to be expressed by your spirit? What cries out to be expressed by your spirit? From the southeast, present condition and appreciation. What is your present concept of yourself? What is your present concept of yourself? From the south, the direction of power and danger. What arouses your adventure of curiosity about your life? What arouses your adventure of curiosity about your life? From the southwest, purpose and direction. What is your dream of yourself? What is your dream of yourself? From the west, the direction of maintenance and balance. How well do you maintain and balance the territories of your life? How well do you maintain and balance the territories of your life? From the northwest, the direction of interconnectedness and timing. What are you here to learn? What are you here to learn? From the north, the direction of clarity and action. What does your clarity of heart say to do next, and how? What does your clarity of heart say to do next, and how? And finally, from the northeast, the direction of integrity and vitality. How do you choreograph your energies? How do you choreograph your energies? My suggestion would be with love. Brian Tracy told a story about a plaque above the mantle where he grew up. It said, "We live life once, and then it's past." As a spiritualist, I might question that. We live life once, and then it's past. Only what's done with love will last. We live life once, and then it's past. Only what's done with love will last. I honor the beating heart of every person in this room and your courage journey. Your choice to grieve when it is time, and your choice to feel joy when it is time, to feel courage, purpose, and passion, faith, trust, and love. And please know, it is always true that we shall be known by the company we keep. The honor of being with all of you today. And I want to close, as we opened this portion of the service, with a song by Mamuse. And I would invite you to just sit back, breathe with your eyes closed or soft gaze, and take it in. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change, alive from deep within the earth. It is time now, it is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning, we shall learn to live in love. In this great turning, we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change, alive from deep within the earth. It is time now, it is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. Oh, it is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning, we will learn to lead in love. In this great turning, we shall learn to lead in love. Thank you.